Then again, there aren't many people that would refer to me as the best man in the room. Danny Connor, the groom, delivered the best man speech at my wedding almost 3 years ago. And he did a really good job. Luckily for him, I wasn't really paying attention. And so right now, I'm just hoping that we didn't Google the same speech. But in all seriousness, I did search the internet briefly one night just to see if there was any do's and don'ts that, weren't common sense about giving this speech. It seems that the most cliche thing to do is to say that I don't deserve to be the best man of the day. I could argue that any of the groomsmen could have easily been chosen by Danny and Karen. Danny could have picked Joey, because he's quite possibly the most likable guy in the room. And he gives a pretty good speech. They could have picked Bluto or Justin because they know him pretty well and have been his most recent roommates before he began living in sin with Karen. Greg Krause would have been an easy choice because he's an in-law. And Danny has already mastered the art of kissing the butts of his in-laws. And if you don't believe me, I would say look at your program, but he forgot to do that. But please reflect back on who got ordained to officiate today's wedding. There's a guy named James. That's Danny's newest in-law.
Hi there.
He did a pretty good job, I guess.
Yes, very well.
So anyway, according to my internet research, this is the part where I would say, I'm not the best man today. Danny's the real best man. Well, screw that. Because the best man in the room today, as far as I'm concerned, is Lee Marsh. That's Karen's dad. How about a round of applause for Karen's dad? Karen's dad is also Danny's father-in-law, starting now. He's the one that gave Danny permission to marry his daughter. He's also the one that welcomed James into his family by getting married to his other daughter, so that he could eventually marry Karen and Danny. Not very many dads allow a guy to marry both of their daughters. So something tells me also that Mr. and Mrs. Marsh had something to do with financing this event. And they didn't take this microphone away from me. So did you guys notice the Irish theme of today's wedding? Well, my invitation was covered with shamrocks. My tuxedo's green. I also got an inside scoop that the bridesmaids' dresses would have green as part of them. It's also the middle of March. I haven't checked yet if they're serving green beer. And I'm sure the fact that corned beef and cabbage was left off your menu was just an oversight.
Oh, there you go.
And I honestly procrastinated. I can't... I'll drink the hell out of it in a few minutes. I procrastinated on the preparation of the speech because for a minute I was thinking that I was going to have to read this speech in Gaelic. So are my 2 minutes up yet?
Go.
Way over.
I'm almost done. This is the good part. So anyway, I consider it a self-appointed duty to declare what makes an Irish wedding genuine. And there's only one Irish-born person in this room today that I know about, and that's Grandma Mac. And I would love it if everybody gave a round of applause for that. So, to be very clear, I want everyone to know, excuse me, that it is a real honor to be chosen as Danny's best man. Among his friends, Danny is larger than life. So when I was preparing this part of the speech, I started to feel more like I was writing Danny a eulogy. But in a lot of ways it is, Danny. So. He's the most caring, helpful, respected, fun, and all-around good guys you could ever have the honor to get to know, let alone be best friends with. Danny and I have been friends through kindergarten, grade school, high school, college. Our years together as teammates, janitors, waiters, roommates, and illegal nightclub managers. Helped us to learn a lot together and have a little fun too. We even had a real job together too, but I can't tell stories about that because Danny still works there and his boss is here. Everybody leaves. I've had the privilege of getting to know Karen independently of Danny. She's my wife's best friend. Karen is an awesome girl and she deserves a good guy. And if Danny doesn't live up to that role for even a minute, she will call Teresa. And Teresa will tell me. And I will not be allowed to go meet Danny for a beer somewhere. So if for no other reason, I am confident they will have a very good man. So I would ask you to raise up your pints. And here's a toast to the happiest couple I know. And in the Irish theme of today,